You want to know what gives it away first? When a woman realizes you're pulling away, it's not your words, it's not your late replies, it's your eyes. The moment your emotional temperature drops, her intuition kicks in, and she starts scanning your face for signs you don't even realize you're giving off. The gaze changes everything. Women are wired psychologically and evolutionarily to read micro expressions, especially in the eye. Because, let's be honest, the eyes don't lie, and when you've lost interest, they stop seeing her the same way. Now, first, she might try to hold your gaze longer. It's a quiet way of asking, are you still here with me? She's not looking for drama. She's looking for reassurance. That flicker in your pupils, the warmth in your glance, used to make her feel seen, chosen. But now, if you're emotionally checked out, your eyes might dart away more often, look through her rather than into her. She feels it, even if you never say a word. And here's the part most men miss. When a woman senses that change in your gaze, it creates a deep emotional shift. Because for many women, being looked at with admiration, affection, or curiosity is how they know they're emotionally safe. That feeling of connection is stored in the tiny subconscious ways you use to look at her. When that disappears, she doesn't just notice. She feels rejected, even if you're still physically present. Then the response kicks in. She may either start avoiding your gaze altogether to protect herself from the emotional discomfort, or she'll double down. Try harder to reestablish that lost connection. Her gaze becomes more intentional, maybe even piercing. She's searching for proof that she still matters to you. That effort might show up in moments when you least expect it, while you're distracted, scrolling your phone or talking to someone else. And if your eyes don't return the signal, that moment becomes a turning point for her. What most men need to realize is that when a woman changes how she looks at you, or how she reacts to the way you look at her, it's not drama, it's data, emotional data. It's the kind of shift that tells you more than any argument, any silence, or any text message ever could. Because when her gaze changes, your connection is either being retested or quietly written off. And if you're not paying attention, you might miss the moment she stopped trying to be seen. Now, let's talk about her body becoming guarded. Because this one is subtle, but it speaks volumes. You see, when a woman senses that your energy has shifted, especially when you've lost interest, her body follows suit. And it's not always intentional, it's a natural psychological response rooted in self-preservation. In the beginning, she was open, literally. Her shoulders were relaxed, her chest faced you directly, her hands were expressive, and maybe she even leaned in when you spoke. That openness, that was her body saying, I feel safe, I feel seen, I want to connect. But when a woman feels emotionally shut out or senses that your interest is fading, her body starts protecting her in ways her words never could. She may begin to cross her arms more often, subtly creating a physical barrier between you and her. Her posture might shift slightly away from you, even when sitting right beside you. You'll notice the difference, not because she's being cold, but because she's conserving her energy. That physical closeness she once offered freely, it's now rationed. Not to punish you, but to protect herself from being emotionally exposed to someone who's no longer fully present. Here's the thing most guys overlook. Women are deeply attuned to energetic reciprocity. If she feels your emotional doors are closing, she's not going to keep running into them. She'll quietly shut hers too, piece by piece. And body language becomes her first line of defense. You might be in the same room, the same bed even, but suddenly you feel distance that wasn't there before. That's not coincidence, that's communication. She may become less physically affectionate, or her touch might feel more mechanical, less spontaneous. Her hugs don't linger, her kisses feel lighter. It's not that she stopped caring overnight. It's that she's scanning for safety and she's no longer sure you're a secure place to land. When a woman's body turns inward, don't just chalk it up to a bad mood or a long day. That physical retreat is often the first sign that she no longer feels emotionally invited. And the tragedy is, many men don't realize this shift until she's already gone. Emotionally, mentally, sometimes physically. To pay attention to the quiet language her body speaks. Because if she's no longer reaching for you the way she used to, it's not about space, it's about survival. And if you wait too long to notice, she might stop reaching altogether. Now let's look at the shift in her tone and communication style. Because this is where emotional truth often hides in plain sight. When a woman realizes you've lost interest, her voice changes. But not always in volume. It's in the way she says things, what she doesn't say, and how much emotional energy she's still willing to invest in the conversation. In the early stages of connection, her words carried weight. She engaged, asked questions, mirrored your curiosity, and her tone was alive, warm, expressive, open. She wasn't just talking to you, she was connecting with you. But when your interest fades, even subtly, she feels it. And when she feels it, her words stop reaching out. You'll notice she doesn't initiate conversations as much anymore. She gives shorter answers. Okay, or yeah. Start replacing the deeper emotional engagement she once offered freely. Her voice might become more monotone or slightly distant, not out of rudeness, but detachment. It's not that she can't communicate, it's that she no longer feels safe being emotionally expressive when you seem emotionally unavailable. Psychologically, this is her retreating into herself, conserving energy she used to pour into you. And it's not just self-protection, it's also dignity. Women, especially emotionally intelligent ones, will not beg for the attention or connection of a man who appears to have checked out. So rather than confront you with drama or accusations, she withdraws. Her silence, her change in tone, the drop in enthusiasm, those become her way of speaking. Philosophically speaking, we often underestimate the power of a woman's silence. It isn't passive, it's profound. When she no longer feels emotionally heard, she stops trying to be emotionally loud. And ironically, many men only start to listen when there's nothing left being said. So what should you take from this? If her words feel different, less frequent, less warm, less invested, it's not a communication issue. It's a connection issue. And if you don't lean in to understand why, you might miss the moment she emotionally lets go for good. The way a woman speaks to you reflects how she feels about being with you. Don't wait for complete silence to start listening, because by then she's not just quiet, she's already gone. Now let's move to body language, which I believe speaks louder than words ever can. When a woman senses that you've lost interest, her body responds in ways that may seem subtle, but are far from insignificant. It's as though her body becomes a mirror of her emotions. What she feels inside begins to play out in her posture, her gestures, even the smallest movements. Early in a relationship, her body is open, inviting. She leans in when she talks to you, maintains eye contact, and her gestures are animated. But when she realizes the emotional connection is slipping, her body language starts to shift. Watch for the closed-off signs. Her arms may cross more often. She'll turn her body away from you slightly, as if instinctively protecting herself. This isn't just physical distance, it's emotional distance, manifesting physically. One of the most telling signs is the loss of touch. In the beginning, there's a playful touch on the arm, a gentle hand on your shoulder. These physical connections are subtle ways she's saying, I'm invested in this, I'm present. But as her interest fades, that touch becomes rare. It's not deliberate in a confrontational way. It's more like a retreat, an unspoken acknowledgement that her emotional investment isn't being reciprocated. She might also start pulling away from intimate spaces. If she was once comfortable with sitting close, suddenly you'll find there's a few extra inches between you. She may even step back when you reach out to touch her. The space isn't just physical. It's her creating a boundary where emotional safety once lived. Now, let's talk about her facial expressions, which are often the clearest reflection of her internal state. When she realizes you've lost interest, she'll stop showing the warmth that once brightened her face when you interacted. Her smile might be less frequent, less engaged, and less genuine. Instead of an effortless, radiant connection, her smile becomes more of a polite gesture, something she offers out of habit, not emotion. In these moments, body language becomes a conversation without words, a conversation you need to tune into. This shift is subtle, but it's real. And if you're tuned into these cues, you'll realize that her retreat isn't a final goodbye. It's a signal to you to notice that the dynamic has changed. And perhaps it's time to act before silence and distance become permanent.
Remember, the body doesn't lie. If you're paying attention, it will tell you everything you need to know about how she's feeling. The question is, are you paying attention? When a woman realizes you've lost interest, the shift in her behavior often moves beyond her physical responses and seeps into her communication style. It's almost as though her words lose their depth, becoming more transactional than emotional. In the beginning, every conversation flows with an effortless connection. There's laughter, lighthearted teasing, a playful back and forth. But once she senses that you're no longer emotionally engaged, her communication style becomes more surface level. You might notice that she stops initiating conversations as frequently. Her responses, while still polite, are short and lacking the enthusiasm they once held. The spark in her voice fades, her tone is flat, and there's a lack of curiosity about your day or your thoughts. She's still speaking to you, but there's a noticeable lack of investment. She's no longer reaching out for connection. She's maintaining a distance, almost like she's preparing herself for something she knows is inevitable. This shift in communication isn't just a reaction to your disengagement. It's also a protective mechanism on her part. She begins to guard her heart, consciously or unconsciously, and withholds emotional vulnerability. She stops sharing as openly. The deep, personal conversations that once flowed with ease become rare. Instead of opening up about her dreams, her challenges, and her fears, she keeps things light, almost like she's keeping you at arm's length. And let's not forget the power of silence. When she realizes you've lost interest, the silence between you can speak volumes. It's the absence of words that fills the space, and in many cases, it's louder than anything she could say. She might wait for you to fill that silence, to close the gap, but you'll feel the weight of the disconnect. Silence becomes a signal not of peace, but of disconnection. It's a subtle yet undeniable indication that her heart and mind are no longer fully present. This pattern of disengagement in communication can be heartbreaking if left unchecked, but it doesn't have to be the end of the story. If you're aware of these changes, you still have the opportunity to re-engage. By acknowledging the shift and taking the time to listen, to rebuild that emotional connection, you can reignite something that seemed to fade away. So, as we've discussed today, these subtle shifts in communication, body language, and emotional distance are not signs of defeat. They are signs that a moment of truth is upon you. The question is, are you willing to notice the signs and take action before the silence grows too loud? The power to change the course of this relationship lies in your ability to engage, to listen, and to respond, not just with words, but with genuine emotional presence. When a woman realizes that you've lost interest, it's not just in her words or her body language that the change becomes evident. It also shows in her overall energy. There's a palpable shift that you can feel when she's no longer giving you the same emotional investment. This isn't something as obvious as anger or disappointment. It's more like a quiet withdrawal. She might not confront you directly, but you'll feel her energy shift from warm to distant. And what's crucial here is that this is a reflection of how she's processing the emotional disconnect. What's often missed in these moments is how much women are attuned to the energy of a relationship. They may not always express it overtly, but they sense when the dynamic has changed. When she realizes you've lost interest, she starts to protect herself, not necessarily out of spite, but out of self-preservation. This is not just a reflection of her feelings toward you. It's a reflection of her understanding of the relationship itself. She begins to hold back because, deep down, She knows that if she gives too much, she's going to get hurt. Her emotional armor thickens as her faith in the connection weakens. Now, the impact of this emotional distancing is profound. It's not just a shift in how she interacts with you, it's a change in how she perceives the relationship. She's no longer looking at you with the same hopeful eyes. Her romantic idealization fades, and what you're left with is a pragmatic assessment of what you both are to each other. That once genuine affection is replaced with a more guarded, almost clinical analysis of the situation. This shift doesn't always mean the relationship is over, but it does signify that something deeper is at play, something that can't be ignored. Women may not always verbalize it, but when their emotional involvement fades, it's because they've come to terms with a hard truth. They realize that you're no longer emotionally present, and without that, the foundation of a meaningful connection begins to crumble. The real challenge in these moments is not in the silence, withdrawal, or the emotional distance, but in how you respond to it. Will you stay passive and let the gap widen? Or will you recognize the deeper issue at hand and take the necessary steps to rebuild that lost interest, to reignite the connection that once felt effortless? The answer to that question is what determines the future of your relationship. So, as you reflect on the signs of emotional withdrawal, remember this: the power to change the dynamic is in your hands, and the first step toward restore in that connection is taking full accountability for where things stand. Are you willing to show up for the relationship even when it feels like the energy has shifted? That is the true test of emotional maturity, and it starts with understanding what she feels and why